Hello, everyone. I am Lisa J. Stocks. Thank you for tuning in for this week's Stock Talk episode. And I'm going to be talking about retirement today. Social Security cuts, corporate matching, the potential changes that we might be in store for. So those are the two main ways that we are planning, most of us, for retirement, is through that Social Security potentially and investing through our employer 401k, 403b, whatever they have available for us. But things are starting to deteriorate when it comes to these things. And today I'm going to be talking about Trump's budget bill and how it's going to impact Social Security, why companies like one that I'm going to mention a little bit later on are pulling back on their on their support of contributing and doing that matching when it comes to our retirement. And so this is for all of us, over 50, under 50. It's a wake-up call that we need to get it together, because Social Security, all of these things are really breaking down. So we have to be more on track to take care of ourselves. Thank you, Vincent, for tuning in. I appreciate that super chat. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Are you a football fan, Vincent? I always be thinking about that this time of year, certain times of year, if able people are going to be tuning in. Chocolate Drop, East Boogie, thank you guys for tuning in and chatting. So yeah, today we're talking about retirement. And we've talked about it before, but there's always changes and there's always more planning that we can do to be more on track for these things. So the trust fund, they're saying that it's going to be depleted even sooner than the dates that they had previously. So they're saying it could dry up by the end of 2023. Now, I think there will always be something, but it's just a matter of how much will it be? How much will it be worth in the future when our time comes around for retiring? So what's happening is we're trying to see what could happen if Congress doesn't act. Retirees may be only receiving 77% of their promised benefits. And things are hard enough and tight enough when it comes to our budgets and all of the rising costs. So I don't think it'll ever go away entirely. But if anything, I'm sure people that are dependent on it need more, not a decrease of, nearly 25%. So Social Security, I'm sure everyone here works, and we're seeing it coming out of our paychecks. And it was designed to replace 40% of our pre-retirement income. So it was never the intention, I guess, to replace our income. Maybe it was easier, I don't know, back in the 70s or so, or 80s, to be able to live off of it just alone. Well, back then they probably had a pension, but just things are tough. And I've already seen in my lifetime, or I'm not sure what year the change was made, but I'm pretty sure retirement, we used to think of it as 65. Now full retirement is 67. And claiming benefits early, you can start claiming at 62, but the earlier you claim, the lower amount that you're going to get. You're going to get it for a longer length of time, but a lower amount of money. So at 62, you'll get 70% of your benefits, 63, 75%, 64, 80%, and then so on. So 67, you get the full 100%. Then, for example, if you were to wait until 70, you'll get 124% of your Social Security. And that's the maximum that they will pay you. So many of us don't even know how much our Social Security will be. we haven't taken the time to go on ssa.gov and download a projected amount that our benefits would be. I remember, I'm not sure, it was a long time ago, years ago, we used to get this statement in the mail that would give us an idea, a breakdown, but because of the security issue and potential theft, identity theft and things like that, they stopped mailing out things like that. So, and if you are going to, if you have an intention that you want to know, you're really banking on how much Social Security is going to be able to impact you in retirement, take the time to figure out how much it is, because you may be very surprised. And it's just going to be an estimate because, like I said, there is potential changes of it being decreased as we get closer to these dates when we're supposedly going to get to that point where the funds are going to be, in that stage of being depleted. So let me take a quick break. Miles says, buy that Bitcoin. Look what the big institutions are doing. Thank you. Make sure to give, there's 27 here. I don't know how many likes I have. Make sure to give the live a thumbs up. Appreciate that, Miles. Thank you, Girl Dad, and everyone else that is tuning in and not chatting. Feel free to share your thoughts, your comments. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, consider becoming a channel member. Talking about retirement right now. Now, it's difficult. It's difficult to plan. There's lots of elements to this that we don't know the answer to, but we need to do the best that we can. Do some backwards math. Use an investment calculator. Project how much you'll have coming from Social Security by getting in touch with them. Take a look at what you've accomplished so far when it comes to your retirement accounts, and just try to put in the work to find out, when will your house be paid off? What do you think your bills will be potentially when that time comes? And even if you do, like I said, it's just a guideline. We don't know. Things are evolving all of the time, but it'll give you an estimate, something to work off of so that you can go back and see what the benefits are currently for you. At least if they are reduced in the future, you have something to work off of for now. Work with a financial advisor, talk to someone at your brokerage company, and that does not have to come with a fee. There are many. I call Fidelity if I have questions all of the time, have those conversations. Even if I go into my Fidelity app, there's basically a report card there scoring how I'm doing towards the goals, because I've taken the time to give them a budget and let them know what I'm aiming for to have in retirement. And I'm trying to get to 150% of my goal. I think right now I'm at about 135. But yeah, we have to make those steps to put in the work to add even more so that we have that buffer. So Chocolate Chop is saying Social Security is not enough to live off of monthly. You got to have a backup plan. Okay. So Chocolate Chop, are your parents on Social Security, grandparents? Is someone around you is really allowing you to see what the issues are and what you need to be putting in the work for? Hey, Fast Eddie, Social Security was designed to be one leg of a 3-leg stool. Okay. Let's see. All right. So on top of the issues that are related to Social Security, which I'm trying to do, I'm glad to get whatever it is, because I've been working full-time since I've been 19, working even longer than that. So I definitely want my Social Security when my time comes, but I'm really just focusing on building up my retirement portfolios in order to depend on that. And I always say, first thing that you should do as far as when you get started investing is to contribute to that company plan, whatever it is, 401k. And then from there, you're going to make sure to contribute what you need to do to get the full company match. That is what we all say when we want to give encouragement on the first thing that you should do as far as getting yourself set up for investing. I believe that should be your first investment, the one that you should prioritize. And so I was looking at the news the other day, and it said that Sherwin-Williams is suspending their 6% 401k match due to weak sales. And this is something that they've done in the past. But right now they're eliminating it, and it's I don't think there's any plan for it to be reinstated. So it's a signal, and other companies might be following suit. I looked it up and I didn't see that there were any other companies in the headlines right now that are doing the same. There were some that did it back in like 2020, 2021 during COVID times. They put temporary hold on it, but now it's been back in place as far as giving that company match. But we need to keep an eye on this, and I still encourage you to contribute to your retirement plan through your employer for the simplicity of it coming out of your check. But in addition to that, you can always get in touch with a brokerage company like Fidelity, open up a Roth IRA, do additional on your own. But we have to be ready for things like this to happen, where companies, what they might start doing next is extending the vetting schedule, making you wait longer before they start contributing that matching amount towards your retirement account. They might lower the percentage, say from 6% to 3% or even less, in order to save money on their end. And who knows, we may see more companies doing what Sherwin-Williams is doing by eliminating it altogether. So we have to be paying attention and be ready to pick up the slack. Because if you were achieving whatever your particular goal is, 15% into retirement, and now your company decreases or eliminates the match, and that gets you way off track. So you're not you'll need to make up for, say, the 6% that they're bringing you down by, if you want to stay on track with the goals that you have set for yourself. So it's happening now. This is not hypothetical. We need to have our eyes open to it. And younger workers, they're facing less and less potential for governmental support, and employers are being less generous with things like this. So pensions are extinct. I will be receiving, I think, 2 small pension amounts from companies that I worked at earlier in my career, but I know that's not going to be much. Trying to piece together that with Social Security, I still need a substantial amount that I'm going to need to be able to draw from on my own. So I'm working on building up my retirement accounts. I also have taxable accounts because I want that flexibility, and I know the power of investing. So I have accounts outside of that I can tap into for things that I may need earlier on. And I do have a goal of investing early and not having to tap into my retirement accounts that are for after 59 and a half, or tapping into Social Security and taking a lower amount, because once you tap into it at 62 or 63 or whatever age, then you're going to be set at that lower amount permanently going forward. So building those extra accounts to bridge that gap if that time comes and I am, no longer earning the same income from the corporate W-2 job. So I touched on a few things here, different types of brokerage accounts. I also have real estate. You just have to make sure to have multiple streams of income in order to make sure that you always have time, always have funds to continue with your investing plan, especially if there are things that come up that disrupt it, like a decrease from your employer. And just on Friday, I was sitting down with my daughter, taking a look at her portfolio and using the investment calculator. Now, her portfolio has been growing for a few years, so she has really seen what we accomplished so far. She can see, I'm going through the columns, I'm showing her, I'm saying, okay, so we contributed this much, it's grown by this amount right here, this is the percentage, this is the dividends that you're receiving, it's going back in, and when it went in, showing her how it automatically buys her additional shares, fractional shares, towards her investments. And as of the time that we were taking a look at her portfolio, her best performing investment right now is Tesla. She's up 107%. And then her lowest performing investment was Home Depot, where she was up only about, I think, 32%. But we were looking at the investment calculator the same way that I'm encouraging you guys to do with your retirement planning. If you've never done that before, it is a great way to make those plans on, whatever goals you have going forward. Is it a $500,000? I don't know where you're at. From wherever you're at, do you need to get to that first 100K, $500,000, a full million? How long is it going to take you to get there? Well, let me take a quick break and take a look at the chat. Curtis, a 10-year window for a custodial account helps young people. Yes. So I'm going to put out a short video tonight from my live stream from last week. And when I had Tashika on and we were talking about it, 10 years is great. So that would be from, say, 8 to 18. But we don't even have to let those first 8 years pass without getting these things started. We get the birth certificate, we get the Social Security card. I know. I had one of my daughters born in 2008. So yeah, that was a tough time. Gas prices were crazy. It was a tough time budget wise with expenses. So I know it's not easy, on top of the diapers and the formula, and potentially a lot of people have a lot of costs associated with, I can't think of the word, daycare. And so, but if there is any money that you can start to put away, even small amounts when they're small, get the accounts set up even sooner. But don't feel like if your child is 10 or 11, that was the situation with me and my guest from last week. We didn't have the knowledge and the money mindset in order to do that until our child was at that age, and we got started then. So whether it's 5 years, 10 years, or the whole 18 of when they are a minor, do what you can, because like I always say, we're buying the Nikes and the gaming systems and all of those things, and take out food and just constantly spending. Put a little bit of money into that custodial account, a UTMA account, 529 plan. Figure out what works best for your family and your needs. So let me take a look, guys. Please feel free to ask any questions. Let me see, what is Fast Eddie saying here? Social Security is the whipped cream and the cherry on top. Yep, that's the way to look at it. We can't look at it as the main dish or even what's underneath that whipped cream. We have to be putting in the work to achieve all the others, and just hope that there's a little something extra for us, because we have been working hard and having that taken out of our check. So we deserve it. We deserve to get it back, but things aren't looking good. So now, Curtis, let me look at your comments here. 32 versus 140. Excellent. 100, not 100. Oh, why are you writing 140? I said, oh, well, I think her total portfolio, everything else is in between. Everything else I would say in her portfolio is up maybe about 60% or so, 60, 70%. Her best was up 107. That was Tesla. And then Home Depot was 32. And I do 80-20 split when it comes to her portfolio, 80% being into funds, and then 20% into individual stocks. So it's not all, filled with those individual companies. Strong foundation of the S&P 500 and another fund. Yes, so it's right now Tesla is the best, but Tesla is volatile. My Tesla, at one point, both of our Tesla positions were up over 100%. But with everything that was going on with Trump and Elon, and that's one of those more volatile investments in the portfolio. So that one happens to be 5% of her portfolio right now. So that's just the way that I decided to do it, because I felt like I had enough knowledge and I was comfortable with choosing some individual stocks. But you definitely can go with a total, a S&P 500 funds or a total stock market funds and leave it at that, or get started with that. And then if you are comfortable and have the desire to add individual stocks, you can do that. So check out my it's just going to be a short video. It's like 8 minutes. It's just a clip from last week, but it kind of breaks down what me and my co-hosts are doing as far as our investing for our children. I'm only investing for my youngest daughter right now, and the person that I had on with me, she has 3 younger ones and then 1 in college. Okay, so the one, yes, 100K first, then get to 700K. Once you hit 700K, your annual dividend should be over 100K a year. Well, that depends on what you're investing into, but that's a way to look at it, definitely. So let me see what else I had in my notes. Yes. So right now, just in case you didn't know, for under 50, your 401k, you're able to contribute $23,000. If you open up a IRA on your own, under 50, your limit is $7,000 per year. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that. If you are working someplace that does not provide retirement account built in for you, take the time to contact a brokerage company and get that going for yourself. Because don't put off time thinking when I get that type of job, or waiting for the circumstances, because we're just going to let time pass. And if you're nervous about or indecisive about what investment to get started with, I really, not financial advice. I'm just sharing my personal experience and journey here. But when it comes to investing into a index fund or exchange traded funds, you're getting exposure to hundreds of stocks. It's just about picking the fund that is in line with your goals. The S&P 500 or total stock market are very basic. They are diversified. You just find the right one. Low expense ratio. I would never be investing into SPY, for example, that has, I believe, a 0.09% expense ratio, which is a fee that you're going to be charged for using these type of funds, when there are alternatives like a VOO with a 0.03 expense ratio, or SPLG with a 0.02 expense ratio. FXAIX is not an ETF, but a mutual fund, but an even lower expense ratio. Now that one you have to do at Fidelity, specific to that, but there are low cost, easy ways to get started with investing. And then from there, those are foundational investments in my opinion. After that, if you want to then choose a percentage, say 5% into crypto, or a certain percentage into individual blue chip stocks that you can hold. I would say some of mine that I'm willing to hold long term, I don't have much worries about, are pretty much those Mag 7 companies. I've already mentioned Tesla today, but Apple, I have Apple in my portfolio, as well as my daughter's, the Google, the Meta, Amazon, those type of things. Okay, lately I really think VOO or similar best investment for most. Yes. You think that? I think that. What? I can't remember why my mind is just going this. I know what I'm trying to say, and I just cannot think of the words. Let me take a drink. Okay, so I try not to share too much when I'm on vertical because it's not that easy to see. But if you are able to zoom in or take a screenshot of this, this is an image that I like from Fidelity to tell you how much you should have invested by age on your, on your journey to planning for retirement. So 1 times your salary at age 30, 2 times at 35, 3 times at 40, and at age 67, you should have 10 times your salary in your investment portfolio. So obviously, everything is just something to use as a reference, as a guideline. Everyone's circumstances are different. If you're married, if your house is paid off, what state you live in, so many different things are going to impact what you are going to need in retirement. But sit down, try to do some work, try to figure it out, try to make a plan that does not have you dependent on aid from the government, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, any of these things, because we're seeing huge changes under the current administration. Who knows what will happen in the future? So we have to be ready to take care of ourselves, our older selves. So let me go back. Curtis, thank you for chatting. Let's see. I was trying to think of Warren Buffett. I said, Curtis thinks that I do, and so does Warren Buffett, that you can just invest into the S&P 500. As mentioned, time is very important, compound interest. So that magical first 10-year window, either via custodial account or normal account, yes. Netflix, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA are biggest gainers, but I missed out on Meta gains over the last 3 years. Meta. So Google, Microsoft, and Meta are the smallest positions that I have as far as those companies in my portfolio. I got started with those. Let's see, Meta. I have 2 shares of Meta, and I'm pretty sure I have 3 shares of Microsoft, but they are also higher stock price than, for example, Google and Apple and some of the others. So slower for me to build there, but I don't let that bother me as far as share price. If I want something in my portfolio, I'm going to start on it, even if it does take me a long time to even get to that first share. If I want the exposure, I have that opportunity to add it, and I'm going to get the percentage gain even before I get to, even before I get to 1 share, even while I'm just starting to build. And I have done that with so many companies that were outside of my budget when I first got it started investing before they had stock splits. But do not think that you can't get started with, you can deposit $100 and use that for your first 2 months of investing. If that's how slow you want to just get going with it, there's no amount too small to get started with building for your future. I was talking to my daughter in our little update that we were having on Friday, and I was mentioning some things to her, and she's like, "Mom, I know you've made. She's been. We haven't been. She's like, Mom, I know you've had me invest $1 before. I know. I'm like, okay, yes, you do know. That's over at Fidelity. A lot of the platforms, the brokerages that I use, $5 is the minimum, but yeah, there's been times when we invested $5 at Fidelity, and some of her investments were, $1, $2 here to something else, to keep in line with our percentage breakdown that we have. So let's see. Hey, Joe, thanks for tuning in. I talk about Joe in that video clip that's going to be coming out. Joe's son, he chose an individual stock for his portfolio, and I think it was a really smart choice. It's one that we all wish we had plenty of in our portfolio from years ago, NVIDIA. So Curtis is saying, I think get started today, Robinhood or Fidelity, $50, 50% on $10 or 50% on, what is this you're referring to with the 50%? Agreed. Yes. Lisa, have some friends over watching the game. I have you on the big screen, Dallas on the other. They want to know what's in your cup. It's just pink lemonade, the one. It's early in the day. I usually have things to do once I get off the live, practicing driving with my my daughter and stuff like that. Practicing parking. That's what we need to be working on. Those percentage gains. Oh, okay. That's how your portfolios are looking? Okay, that's great. Nightbot is welcoming you too in here, Joe. All right. So let's see. So yeah, things have changed, and we need to evolve and change right along with it. We need to have that mindset of making sure that we are on track to take care of ourselves, because pensions, Social Security, rising costs, we all see it. I don't go to the store. I don't go to Costco without spending $300. We're not going, even things that didn't used to be as impactful, just like getting a pizza or grabbing some McDonald's. Those weren't things that I felt were significant expenses. And now I feel like everything is. So I have to rethink, and it requires a new strategy, a new principles. We adapt and change and be ready, and saving is not going to do it. I have to just be mindful to make good investment choices so that my portfolios are building. Reinvest those dividends, make sure that, we're on track to build wealth and security for ourselves. So let me know in the chat, have you ever taken the time to get in contact to find out how much your Social Security will be potentially based on what, today's circumstances are? Are you dependent on it? Were you really looking forward to, thinking that that was going to be a significant way of taking care of yourself in the future? It's really not that much money. I see, I have a family member that's on disability, not Social Security, but yeah, really not much money to live off of. If you don't have investments or a spouse or just a plan, I don't know how certain people that I know would be able to manage just off of what they're receiving. Okay, let me take a look. There's an extra paycheck this month for people that get paid every 2 weeks. Okay. What do they call that? Is that called a magic something? I don't remember. I was never very excited by that month the way other people are, but I do follow some people that do like budgeting videos, and they're always very, looking forward to it. Okay, so custodial account gained 50%, and my accounts are up 40% gained in 2 years. Everyone should keep investing, most definitely, most definitely. But you have to, um, you know, investing does entail risk. Not all investments go up over time. Not all investments recover, but do your best in order to choose investments that are proven quality investments. Or if you don't want to choose an individual investment, remember those exchange traded funds, baskets of stocks, they'll give you exposure to hundreds, if not thousands. Those are going to give you more stability and are proven to recover. And, the stock market is an up and down thing. There's something that we have available to us now. It is 2025. So many things have changed. We have a stop loss that we can order, that we can put into our brokerage company in order to sell our positions if they drop by a certain amount, as well as buy for us if it comes down to our particular buy price that we are aiming to, add something into our portfolio at. But when it comes to my blue chip stocks and ETFs, my FXAIX, those type of investments, I do not have a stop loss on, Google, Amazon, those type of things that I've already mentioned today. If things get tough, if the economy gets rough, it comes down by 18%, I'm going to wait for it to come back up, because those are those type of quality investments that I'm willing to ride the wave, even if it gets that bad. We have to be prepared for sometimes, Liberation Day, COVID, things happen that's going to make our portfolio move. And when I say move, I've had people reach out to me over a 2% decrease in one of their positions. And, that isn't anything that I would be concerned about. There's different things go on. Google with their antitrust, the lawsuit that they had going on, claiming that they were on monopoly, different things like that. I have to give it time for those things to play out, be settled, and determine if I want to be a person that holds individual stocks and has to deal with that. If not, I could shift all over to those funds. But for right now, I'm comfortable with having that extra added exposure, and my individual stocks, the growth of my individual stocks is more than my funds. So, hello, Trenton. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. My best IPO stock was Square. I believe one this year will be big. Karma, CoreWeave, Bullish. I was looking at something about Bullish. I think it was Friday. I haven't been jumping into any of the IPOs. I'm not big on I'm not big on trading. I may dabble into one, but I just don't necessarily want to deal with the fluctuation and have to let it go in less than a month. But I might do it, but I haven't done any lately. I do options trades, usually on a weekly basis. A week doesn't pass that I don't do at least an option. I'm surprised no one mentioned Open or Intel. Those were crazy last week. Thank you, Chocolate Drop, for tuning in. Are you over there cooking again? But yeah, guys, let me know if you have any questions. I still have 20 years until retirement. You have to check on that on your Social Security. Yeah. You didn't catch everything? Okay. You have to watch it back or just shoot your questions out there. Oh, you're watching Miami and New England. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in and chatting a little bit, even with the football going on. I was looking back to a short from last year when I think it was Tim was in my chat that day. And I was like, I don't know about doing live streams on Sunday during football season. And Tim said, those football players already made their money. I got to make mine. So he needed to take some time and continue tuning into the show, even though, it did take a little bit away from his football time. I accidentally bought Open. What? You accidentally did? Well, that's a good accident. Someone was telling me that they were accidentally investing into VOOG as opposed to VOO. And I was like, I think that was an okay mistake to be making. So VOOG is the Vanguard S&P 500 Growth Index Funds ETF. So as soon as they said this, I was sure that they probably had more volatility, but more growth over time than just having the amount of money that they thought they were putting into VOO when they were doing a reoccurring investment into VOOG. So VOO over the last 5 years is up 98%, but the VOOG is up about 112%. So a little bit of a difference there, but one of those mistakes where that was a good mistake to be making. That's okay. All right. So that's it. I just wanted to highlight that, guys. So early, if you weren't here, I was talking about Sherwin-Williams, the company, has completely has suspended their 6% 401k match due to, their sales performance. And I just want us to be ready. They're saying that potentially Social Security benefits we might be receiving, that could be cut down to 77% of what people are currently receiving there. So we need to be ready that, if we change jobs, the vetting schedule of us being able to get a company match might get longer. The percentage, for example, if they're currently giving a 6% match, they might put that down to 3% or less. And companies may eliminate it altogether. But I just wanted to make sure to continue to encourage us to prioritize and really know what number you need in order to be on track for your retirement goals. And the Educated Natural, thank you for tuning in. Let me see. Ashley, you mentioned prior that you transferred your 401k to a Fidelity account. Did you reinvest the money all at one time or did you do a period? Ashley, I thank you for tuning in, Ashley. And congrats on your gifted membership. Let me know if you have any other questions outside of the live stream. Let me know. So I did not. I did not. So I had an account over at Empowerment. I transferred it to Fidelity. I was very frustrated with what was going on. I could not find anything that was in line with my needs over at Empowerment. I transferred it to Fidelity, and I invested the money heavily. It was over $100,000 that I transferred. So no, I did not invest it all at one time. I think it was late in the year when I did the transfer, maybe September time. And so there were weeks when I was doing, $1,000 a day, much larger amounts, obviously, because of the amount that I had to invest. But I took my time over a few months, probably more than 6 months, with getting a handle on my investment choices and trying to find those better days of when there were pullbacks potentially, and dollar cost averaging. I did not go all in and just, put 100K into FXAIX all in one shot. No, I did not. I took my time, but they were much larger investment amounts that I was doing when my balance that I needed to invest was high. So right now, like, I'm doing $10 a day into NVIDIA currently. So say at that time, if I was investing, I would be doing $500 into NVIDIA and $1,000 into FXAIX during some stretches of time. So that's how I went about it. Because I couldn't bring myself just to go in all in one shot, and I needed to just ease into it. But at the same time, I did make sure to get all of the money reinvested. Don't want it sitting in just basically that high yield savings account stage. I wanted to make sure that my money was going to be building. Hello there, Abigail. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, I love dollar cost averaging. All right, then. Let's see. I don't see any other questions. Okay, so Jesus has a question here. Let me take a look. 529 accounts. Would I be able to open it in my name and later transfer it to my son? I don't think so. I'm just going to say, and just giving you this off the top of my head, because it is a custodial type of account. I think that you would have to have your child associated with it. All the funds in a 529 is going to be for educational costs only, but you would need the child's social security number, birth certificate, date of birth, all that type of information, as well as your own, in order to open the account. You can open up, a taxable brokerage account and hold things in your name, and then, transfer it to him later in life. But you're not going to have the tax advantage of it being, associated as a child's account. So, and, just like I said, I'm not looking this up or, calling Fidelity or anything. That's just my personal knowledge of what I believe the structure would be. Yes, April, I definitely bought more when the market was looking really sad, but I was able to. I've never been through the experience of seeing anything, any quality investment in my portfolio going down and panic selling. I don't know if it's just being in KGU and around certain people that have allowed me to have that confidence on having an understanding of, I put a quality investment into my portfolio. I don't need to worry when a particular news catalyst or issue is impacting it, that it's going to recover. Now, not every single thing in my portfolio has worked out that way, but most of it has. The few things that I have complaints about or that I need to rebalance, I got the message basically, and I did not build up those positions as large as the others. Like my Google stock is much more significant. Google, Apple, Amazon is much more significant than Tesla. Not Tesla, than Target. And I'm gonna look, guys, and share with you. Let's see. My Target stock is down 39.21%. Target is a mess with their thefts and all their mess. But, everything is not perfect. And so let me take a look at Ashley's question. I'm in a similar situation that you were in. I'm still trying to figure if and when I will transfer my 401k to a traditional brokerage. Thank you for your transparency. Okay. So I've helped a couple of people. So everywhere, once you're laid off, or I don't know what your circumstances are, don't be afraid to move on from the brokerage company that your amount of money, your IRA or whatever they transferred into when you left off with that company. Don't be afraid to leave and transfer to somewhere that you are more comfortable with. Empowerment, and I was dealing with TD Price. Some of these brokerage companies do not have the options. I'm impartial because I had two companies that I worked at that both had Fidelity. So back to back. So I didn't have to make any changes there. But that first company that I worked at left me off with that large amount of money over at Empowerment. And I really tried to leave it there, tried to go through and talk to them and find out get an understanding of all of the fund choices that they had available that I could invest into. And the performance, the fees were just not in line with what I could accomplish by just giving up on it and setting up my IRA over at Fidelity. I contacted Fidelity. I made sure to make everything seamless, that it was transferred from Empowerment over to Fidelity without causing me any tax implication or anything like that. And I just had to take on that responsibility of reinvesting that amount of money on my own. Because, I'm not going to be in any high expense ratio, poorly performing target date funds that's heavy into bonds and all this mess when the stock market was thriving. I wanted to be 90 plus at least % into the stock market. And, particular portfolio, that amount of money that I moved over from Empowerment, I did put some in Taiwan Semi and NVIDIA when I transferred it over. So I'm still employed. I have Empowerment. You have an Empowerment account? It's just not doing what I tell you, Empowerment. I spent, I would say, a few hours on the phone with them trying to get that sorted out. And I said, I cannot deal with Empowerment. I was not in a position that I had to leave the funds there. And I had to go. I've done videos showing the fund that I was in, and a percentage of it was the S&P 500, but the way that they have some of these funds structured, very high fees, and the mix that they create, poorly performing. And, this is just my personal opinion. I don't think people, if your age starts with a 2 or a 3 or even a 4, that you need to be in such conservative investments when there is so much growth right now. And like I said, you don't have to be out here trying to pick the Palantir and all these individual stocks. Even just being in the S&P 500, which is what I put a lot of that particular account into, has really had a huge amount of growth compared to where I would have been if I just stayed at if I just would have let it sit where it was over in at Fidelity. Okay, so Target didn't fare well, but I just found out about TJ Maxx. Okay, let me see. Hello, SBK. Thank you for popping in. All right, so I don't see any other questions. I will be back next Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already, please give the live a thumbs up. And so there goes Joe. Joe's reminding you, give the live a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, join channel membership, drop me any questions even after the live ends. If there's anything that you would like me to chat about in future Stock Talk episodes. But like I said, I try to be here every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in order to chat live throughout the week. I put out videos, shorts, and I am also over in the Discord, Keenan Grace's Discord, in order to answer questions there all of the time. So I will see you next week. Go enjoy some football and have a great rest of the day. Thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you, Vincent, for that super chat earlier today. I do appreciate you.